In this video, I'm going to take you through my entire 10-year natural physique body lifting transformation journey. I'm going to go through obviously my physique throughout the years, but also my approach towards nutrition and training and what I knew at the time. So for a bit of context, I'm 27 now, and this was me at 13. I've got the same photo on my phone, by the way. Pretty embarrassing looking at these, to be honest. But you can see I was obviously a pretty small kid for my age. Wow. In this photo here, I'm that little guy getting smashed up in the corner. Fast forward, I believe, 4 years. So this is me at 17, and like, here's the thing. I actually thought that I was a gym guy by this time. When I first saw this photo, I was like, surely I hadn't started lifting by now. But I remember my dad got us a chin-up bar, one of those 1990s as seen on TV ab roller machine things. We had like this rusty as old Easy Bar. I would detach the handles of the ab machine and treat it as like a bench press. And I would be doing Easy Bar bench press with probably 8 kilos or something. But it was kind of interesting for me to look at these two photos because in the first lot, all the other boys have their shirt off, but I don't for whatever reason. And I don't remember being particularly self-conscious or anything like that. And it was a water polo trip, so we always would have been getting our kit off for water polo. But then fast forward like 4 years and I'm the dude in a singlet at the party. But then I'm also this dude at the party. So I remember in these home workouts absolutely murdering my abs because that was like all I had access to, really, the abs machine. Thinking about my physique now, abs is quite a strong point. So I'm not sure whether is abs a strong point for me because I absolutely blasted them for about 2 years when I first started training, or did I blast them because they were already a genetic strong point, you know? All right, after this, I got my license and a car so I could actually go to the gym. I got a job so I had a little bit more money for food. Not that like my parents malnourished me or anything, but you know, they weren't cooking up bodybuilder chicken and rice type of meals. And these photos are later that year. I can see a little bit of doubt coming through, a little bit of chest, no legs just yet. I think throughout this time I was still running quite a lot. For whatever reason, I just thought, yeah, running must make you jacked. It didn't, by the way. 1 year later, I think I'm 18 here. This was my first year of university. I joined the uni gym. I was prepping most of my own food by now. To be fair, like, this is a pretty well-angled photo, but you can really see some of the package coming together. So I think my training sort of philosophy at this time, I'd really got onto like the legs push-pull and upper lowers. I think I could actually squat like maybe 100, 110 for a few reps, which is like 240 pounds or something like that. So I wasn't exactly weak in the strength leg department, but from a size standpoint, they're definitely a late bloomer. All right, this photo was second year uni. I would have been 18, 19 at the time, probably 19 by now. I remember looking at this photo and it was around the same time that it was either Jersey Shore or Geordie Shore, one of those two was cranking. And I just look at that photo and I'm like, damn, I'm a bit of a Chad, like not gonna lie. And that was before we even knew what Chad even meant. This was later that same year, looking a whole lot thicker. This was on a holiday. Okay, you can see by now, the other bro in the photo, so he lifted, like he went to the gym, same as me. But by that time, I was kind of like stepping ahead of the average athletic guy from an aesthetics perspective because I'd been solely focusing on just the gym and lifting weights and not also trying to play like football, water polo, running, that kind of thing. All right, this was my first proper cut. I remember my nutritional strategy to get this lean. I didn't track macros. I didn't track calories, but I did have a pretty fair understanding of what was going on. I just remember eating bucket loads of like plain white chicken breast and green beans. When I look at this photo, it just reminds me of green beans. This was end of second year, so I was 19 or maybe 20 by now, and I can really see here. Strong points coming through, you know, the chest, the delts. I remember at this time, I was training legs and back and arms. Just some muscle groups take longer to develop for some people. I don't really have any photos between second year university when I was 20 through to fifth year when I was about 23, because for those first few years at uni, I had a scholarship paying for like pretty much everything for me. That scholarship ran up and I ended up having to get a full-time job. I was studying full-time for my law degree and I was also running a betting shop full-time. Man, I remember some days I would wake up and go to uni in the morning and then I'll go do like a 8, 9, 10 hour shift, maybe from 10 a.m. through to like 8:30 p.m., 9 p.m. at the shop. And then after that, I would go to the gym 10 p.m. to midnight and then I'd be up again at like 5:30 the next morning. I never stopped training, but the training was definitely subpar. Like the consistency does add up over time, you know? And then by now I'm 23. This is me and the bro on our first Southeast Asia expedition, doing like the classic monkey forest, Uluwatu, Bali, if you've been. It's a flattering stringer, but this is a physique that, you know, you walk past and you're like, okay, like this guy lifts. And you know, it only took me 5, 7, 8 years to get there. Obviously, I was still drinking quite a lot, not eating enough, which is a chronic ailment of mine. This is the end of 2017, another festy, looking pretty big in the deltoid department. 2018 was my final year of university, and by this point I had quit my full-time job. I was just like living off what I'd saved up, and here's what's crazy. When you're old in New Zealand, you get paid to study. So when I didn't really need the money, because I was in my 20s, I'd been working for a little bit, then I got paid to study. But when I was a dirt broke 18-year-old and I could have used every extra cent, no, you don't get anything. But in this 6 to 12 month period, I remember I probably made the best gains of my life in like that short of a time frame. This is me with my mom. Pretty good genetics, eh? Good genetics for being like lean, athletic. This is me in the gym around the same time. This is me in Vietnam. Here's a video. So this video was after food poisoning, to be fair. Like that level of shreds wasn't exactly loyal. This is a video of like in Vietnam, people on the street would just come up to me and ask to get a photo. I don't know, they thought I was like a movie star or some shit. Can you imagine being this guy at 17 and then like 5 or 6 years later, like you've got people just randomly asking to take a photo of you on the street because you're jacked? This one's me at Christmas with my family. It doesn't look like much changed to you, but I can really see a bit of extra detailing in the delts, the legs finally starting to bulk up a little bit. So by now I remember I was really getting into the strength side of things. So I was running Smolov Juniors, and do you know that guy? His YouTube is UF Powerlifter. He's got those crazy viral videos for him benching 4 plates and he's like 150 pounds or something. I followed his plan. In the plan he says, this is not a peaking plan. So what I did was I used it as a peaking plan, and you might not believe me, but I remember because it was the man bun era, I had a 3 plate or 140, 315, maybe 310 pound bench press for just a single, but like a clean single with a pause. I don't have the video, so you'll have to take my word for it. After this, I got bait out with my girlfriend Amber, who I'm still currently with over 3 years later. This was us in Bali, which we'll get to later. This was me in March 2019 for a trip I went to the Philippines with my bro for a couple of months, and then I went from Philippines to Bali, and then Amber came and met me in Bali. If I saw this photo blind, I'd be like, oh, okay, bro, like you peaked in 2019, that was you. You've just gone downhill from here. But I do remember at the time, do you see that phone? That phone was a Google Pixel 2, and Google Pixel 2 had this crazy editing filter thing called Pop. Pop could just take an ordinary photo and absolutely bring it to life. So in this photo, I mean, it's not photoshopped, it's not fake or anything like that, but like all the detailing and the inner chest and everything like that, I don't know whether that was definitely me or whether that was the pop. I'll show you another example here. I've got doubts, you know, like I've got good doubts, but I'm sure that filter added an extra vein or two in there for sure. Another thing was me and the bro had been hitting the sunbeds hard at this point in preparation for the trip, which I would not recommend for your health. But from a visual perspective, I mean, there's a reason bodybuilders load up on fake tan before a show, you know, like it works. So I went on my trip. I actually managed to train quite a lot around the Philippines. There were a good few gyms there. This was in a gym in Coron in the Philippines. Sick gym, beautiful part of the world. It was probably like a fairer reflection of the physique, you know, like daylight without a pump. Straight up though, I thought I was like a travel influencer. Look at me. This was me and the missus at Mississippi and Bali. Check this backflip. I'd done a month or two in the Philippines, yeah, maybe a month by myself in Bali doing nothing but gym. Then Amber came over and met me, and we did the whole like adventure thing, went to Nusa Penida and all the other places. I remember in particular though, this photo was towards the end of our trip. I had thought that I hadn't really made any gains throughout my time in Bali because I just wasn't digesting the food very well. I pretty much had the shits for like 3 months straight. I was backpacking. I was doing it pretty cheap. So I was eating nothing but local food, just at the cheap warungs. But then I remember seeing this photo and being like, okay, damn bro, like those nasi gorengs paying off, you know? Could just be that Google Pixel 2 though. This was me mid-2019. I am 24 by now. I came home from Bali and pretty much just got a full-time job. I don't really have much in the way of pics or footage to play from here because all I did was work, still kept up with like the gym, training, the odd adventure in New Zealand here or there. But by now I was getting a lot more educated, particularly on the science of hypertrophy and nutrition. Definitely I was eating more. I hit a max squat PR here. I think this is one 150 kg by 5, which would have been double my body weight at the time. So that was a cool PR, but then we moved to a different gym which had a lot more equipment, in particular a hack squat. I still do barbell squats. Even in my current mesocycle, I did them like 3 days ago. Nothing against the barbell squat, but when you learn about stimulus to fatigue ratios and then you go and find a hack squat like this, it was amazing. You never want to look at putting a barbell on your back ever again. So I made some pretty good gains here, worked up to 120 by 6 on the bench. Around this time, we're getting into 2021 now, so I am 25 here, maybe 26. So I quit my job, Amber started quitting hers, and we did our PT qualification. Now you would think when you're a PT, you get to set your own schedule. You pretty much live at the gym. You're gonna make the best gains of your life, right? But no, bro, it's not the case. If you're already reading Eric Helms, Stronger by Science, Menno Henselmans, your bog standard personal trainer qualification, it's not gonna teach you anything you don't already know. Then you look at the average personal trainer's schedule. Alarm goes off at 4:30. You got your first client at 5:30, probably have 2-3 more until maybe 8 o'clock back to back, and then you'll have some downtime, but you're knackered. You want to have a nap, but you haven't even eaten yet. So then you might have some food. You might get to train yourself at around 10:30, 11. And then to be fair, you'll have the afternoon off, but you're back in for probably about 4 p.m. for your first nighttime client, right the way through to maybe 10 o'clock. And then you'll probably get 4, 5, 6 hours sleep and go and do it all over again. And you're constantly moving, walking, putting weights away, lifting weights for your clients, doing demonstrations. Being in a surplus as a personal trainer is very difficult. But for whatever reason, midway through 2021, and I am 27 by now, we decided to do a bodybuilding prep. So this was my starting point. Here's 4 weeks into the cut, 8 weeks, looking pretty good. Then lockdown again, round 2, or maybe it was round 3 or 4 in New Zealand. And you know, they do that thing where it's constantly like, at first it was just going to be a 3-day lockdown, and then 3 days became 2 weeks, and then it was like, oh, we're gonna have to drag it out for a little bit longer. 8 weeks became 12, 16. How long was it in the end in New Zealand? So we did our entire prep from home, push-ups, pull-ups. I did have a chin-up bar. I was very lucky in that regard. Walking lunges, Bulgarian split squats off the couch. If you trained during lockdown, you did Bulgarians off the couch, and you never want to do Bulgarians ever again in your life. Eventually we did buy a Smith machine, which was a blessing. We were just hanging on because the show, I guess you call it promoter, they hadn't actually pulled the pin yet, because all of us, we were all in limbo. And I think it was probably about 2 weeks out, they called it. Of course they had to, but we were so damn lean. So we managed to book in a photo shoot. Sean Poe, magic man behind the camera. All things considered, I mean, these shots came out really good. So this was definitely the leanest I'd ever been by this point. This was also the lowest my calories had ever gone. I used to think that I had a very fast metabolism, in that I could cut on high calories very easily, and then also I struggled to gain weight. I had to eat a whole lot of calories to gain weight, more than other people at a similar body weight to me. But now what I kind of think is, it's probably not a fast metabolism as much as it is a very adaptive metabolism. I have to push my calories up very, very high to gain weight, but then also very, very low eventually to lose weight when I'm like already lean as. So having a fast metabolism like that, it can be a blessing and a curse, because it's hard for me to bulk, and then I do have to really work for it in the cut, but maintaining is so easy. That's the 10-year natural physique body transformation. If I had any like words of wisdom to my younger self, eat more, bro, just eat more. The photos I've shown you are not necessarily a fair reflection of what I walked around at 24/7, 365, because all the photos I've shown you were either like festivals or on holidays, selfies in the gym, and chances are they were when I was cutting, because I'd be like, yo, let's get shredded for R&B, let's get shredded for Bali, and that's cool. Like, I do not regret it whatsoever, but across 10 years, honestly, I might have only spent 3 years in a surplus, and then maybe like 2 or 3 years cutting, and then like 4 or 5 years when I thought I was in a surplus, but I was actually just at maintenance. So I was training really hard, doing everything right, but just not eating enough food to grow muscle. But learning lessons is all part of the process. So that 10-year mark brings us to about 6 months ago. Since then, we recovered from the prep. moved out of Auckland up north, and then we moved to the Gold Coast, stopped in-person personal training and moved completely to online coaching. But honestly, one of the first times I've actually progressively overloaded my calories to the point where here I am now at 80 kilograms flat. And it's only been like 6 or 7 months, so I can't really say whether I've made that much progress. I've been running back to back specialization mesocycles just to bring up my back because we're going to compete this year. Now, I would not recommend doing a show prep every single year. I mean, you'll see guys do it and they make no gains year on year on year. But just because we couldn't do it last year, like I've got that monkey on the back. So I think 19 or 20 weeks out now, I'll probably just run a maintenance phase for 3 or 4 weeks to consolidate my new higher body weight, and then it'll be time to start prep. But that'll be for another video.